Joseph sold him to Egypt. Jacob had settled on land where his father had sojourned, in the land of Canaan. This is where the story began in the family of Jacob. When Joseph was 17 years old, he was tending the flocks with his brothers, assisting with the sons of Father's wives, Bilhah, Zilpah, and Joseph. When their father brought bad reports about them, Israel loved Joseph all his sons, for he was the child of his old age, and he made them long ornamented tunic. When his brothers saw that his father loved him best, all of the brothers, they hated him so much they could not say a kind word to him. Once Joseph had a dream and told his brother, he said, they hated him even more. He said, listen, I had this dream I had. They're riding sheaves in the field, and suddenly I felt sheaf rolled up my possession. And these sheaves formed a ring around my sheaf and bowed down to it. His brother said to him, are you really going to make yourself king over us, rule over us? So they hated him even more, all because of his dreams. Then he had another dream. He told them, brothers, look, I had another dream. He said, this is time the sun and the moon were 11 stars bowing down to me. When he told it to his father and his brothers, his father reproved him and said, what's the meaning of this dream of yours? Can that be I and your mother and your brothers are to come about and ground before you? So his brothers were furious at him, but his father kept the matter in mind. One day his brothers had gone pasture to his father's flocks at Shechem. Israel said to Joseph, are your brothers not taking to our flocks at Shechem? Come, and I will send you to them. I am ready, Joseph answered. Then go then. He replied, see if this is all of your brothers and flocks. Bring back word. So he went off in the valley of Hebron. When Joseph reached Shechem, a man came upon him and was wandering about the field. What are you looking for? The man asked him. I'm looking for my brothers, he answered. Please tell me where they're tending the flocks. The man told him, they have moved on from here. In fact, I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. Well, Joseph went after his brother and found them at Dothan. When they saw him in the distance, before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. They said to one another, here comes that dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into the cisterns here. We could say that the wild beast devoured him. We will see then what comes of his dreams. When Reuben heard this, he tried to save him from their hands, saying, we must not take his life. Reuben said, do not shed blood. Throw him into a cistern in the wilderness, but do not lay a hand on him. His purpose was to save him from the hands and restore him to his father. When Joseph came with his brothers, they stripped him from his tunic, a long ornamented tunic he had on, and then took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty. There was no water in it. They sat down and eat. Looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from the Gilead. Their camels laden with gum, balm, and rising to be down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, what is gained by killing our brother, concealing his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. And said, by doing away with ourselves, he's our brother, our own flesh. His brothers agreed. Meeting in it, traders passed by, and they pulled Joseph out of this cistern. They sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver, and the Ishmaelites took him to Egypt. And Reuben went back to cistern and saw that Joseph was not in it. He tore his garments and returned to his bride. He exclaimed, the boy is gone, and where can I turn? They took Joseph's tunic, and after slaughtering a goat, dipped the tunic in his blood. They sent someone to bring a long ornament tunic to the father with the message, we found this. See whether it is your brother's tunic or not. He recognized it and examined. My son's tunic, a wild beast has devoured him. Joseph had been torn to pieces, and Jacob tore his garments and put his ugly clothes on loins and mourned his son for many days. Through his sons and daughters tried to console him. He refused all consolation, saying, no, I will go down mourning my son in Sheol. Thus did father weep for him. The melodies went well. So Joseph to Egypt, and Potiphar, an official of Paro, and his chief steward. Judah and Tamar. By the time Judah went down away from his brothers and pitched his tent near an Adulamite, he's named Hira, the Judah saw a daughter Canaan named Shua. He married her and had intercourse with her. She conceived and bore a son whom she named and she conceived and bore a son whom she named Onan. She bore and still another son whom she named Shelah. She was a Chezib when she bore him. Judah got a wife named Tamar for his firstborn But Judah's firstborn, greatly offended the Lord, so the Lord took his life. And Judah said to Onan, have intercourse with your brother's wife, fulfillment of your duty and brother-in-law, thus preserve your brother's line. Onan, however, knew that the offspring would not be his, so whenever he had intercourse with his brother's wife, he wasted his seed on ground to avoid giving offspring to his brother's wife. Whatever, I don't know. What he did greatly offended the Lord, and the Lord took his life too. And Judah said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up. For he feared that Shelah might also die like his brother. So Tamar went to live in her father's house. Time passed, and her daughter Shua, Judah's wife, died. After Judah completed the period of mourning, he went up to Timnah to those who were shearing sheep, and accompanied his friend Hira the Adulamite. Then Tamar was told, your father-in-law is on his way to Timnah to shear sheep. So she took off her widow's garment and covered herself with a shawl, having wrapped herself in an entrance in a name. When which is the way to him now. She was aware that although Sheila was now grown up, she has not been given to him in marriage. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a harlot. Since she had covered her face, he went over to her and Rosa and said, "Come, let me have intercourse with you." For he did not realize she was his daughter-in-law. She replied, "What will you pay me for letting you have intercourse with me?" He answered, "I will give you a young goat for a flock." "Very well," she said, "provide me with a pledge until he sent it." Judah asked, "What pledge should I leave you?" She answered, "Your seal and cord and staff in your hand." So she gave him to her, intercourse with her, and she conceived by him. She got up and went away and took off her shawl and put on a widow's garment again. Judah went to Yongo by his friend in the Dolomite to cover the pledge from the women, so he did not find her. So the men of the place, "Where is the prostitute?" by one arose her name. But he answered, "No prostitute has been here." They went back to Judah and told him, "I did not find her. Besides, the men of this place said, 'No prostitute has been here. Let her keep the things.'" Judah replied, "Otherwise, we will become a laughingstock. After all, I did send her this young goat, but you did not find her." After about 3 months, Judah was told, "Your daughter-in-law Tamar has acted like a harlot. Now she is pregnant by her adultery." Judah said, "Bring her out, let her be burned." But she was being sent to her and her father-in-law as the man whom she thinks belonged to. "I am pregnant." Then she said, see those who seal the cord and staff." These Judah recognized them and said, "She is the bride rather than I. Will not give her my son Sheila." He did no farther sexual relations with her. At the time being, she delivery came when there were twins in her room. She was giving birth. One put out his hand. The midwife took her and tied Christian thread around his hand, noting, "This one came out first." And his brother came out, and she said, "What a breach you have made for yourself." So she called Perez and made for herself. Afterward, his brother, who had called crimson thread on his hand, came out, and he was called Zerah. When Joseph was taken down to Egypt, an Egyptian Potiphar, an official Pharaoh and chief steward, brought him from Ishmael, who had brought him there. The Lord was with Joseph. He enjoyed great success and was assigned in the house of Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him, he brought him success in whatever he did. He favored Joseph and made him his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his household and entrusted him with all of his possessions. From the moment that he put him in charge of his house and all possessions, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. The Lord's blessing was on everything he owned, both inside the house and out, having everything left he owned in Joseph's charge. He gave no thought with Joseph there to anything but the food he ate. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. After some time, his master's wife looked at him with longing and said, "Lie with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, as long as I am here, my master does not give me a thought to anything in the house, but he has trusted me to all he owns. He has no more authority in this house than I do. He will withheld me from nothing but you. Since you are his wife, how then could I do this great wrong sin against God?" Although she spoke to him day after day, he would not agree to lie with her or even be near her. One such day, Joseph came to the house to do his work. None of the household servants were there in the house. She laid hold of him by his cloak, saying, "Lie with me," but leaving the cloak in her hand, he escaped and ran outside. When she saw that he had left his cloak in her hand as he escaped outside, she cried out to her household servants to tell them, "Look, my husband has brought us a Hebrew man to mock us. He came here to lie with me." But I cried loudly. When he heard me scream, he left his cloak beside me and escaped to run outside. She kept the cloak with her until his master came home. Then she told him the same story. "The Hebrew slave who you brought to us came to amuse himself at my expense. But when I screamed, he left his cloak beside me and escaped outside." When the master heard his wife's story, in which he reported, "Thus, so your servant did to me," he became enraged. Joseph's master seized him and put him in jail where the king's prisoners were confirmed, and then where he sat in jail. But the Lord was with Joseph, showed him kindness, and making the chief jailer well disposed toward him. The chief jailer put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners in jail. Everything that had to be done there, he was the one to do it. The chief jailer did not have to look anything that was in Joseph's charge, since the Lord was with him and bringing success to whatever he was doing. I hope you guys have a good day. We'll continue more tomorrow. Well, bye-bye. Once again, have a good day, night, evening, I don't know. But bye-bye now.